Before I got sick, I was a full-time yoga teacher and loving my life. I was 5 years newly married, and we were happy. Stress was low, and then we got pregnant, and I had a wonderful pregnancy. I was energetic, I was happy, I was joyful, and I was strong. When I was about 8 months pregnant, we moved into a larger apartment, and that is when my symptoms started. We moved into a sick building. We had no idea that the apartment was infested with mold. I began to feel symptoms pretty much right away. They started with sneezing and a lot of colds, and I had a couple of sinus infections that last month of pregnancy, when I never used to get sinus infections at all. And I had a cold the day that I delivered our daughter, and I remember feeling a lot better in the hospital than I did at home. And when we got home, my symptoms got worse. I got rashes, insomnia, severe pain throughout my body. My feet killed me. I had trouble walking, my joints, and I had a lot of rashes and extreme brain fog, extreme. The worst symptoms for me was the nerve pain that I had throughout my whole body and the constant twitching underneath my skin. It felt as if there were little electricity buzzes underneath my skin all over. And then one day I finally collapsed. I couldn't think of what to say. The words would not come to me, and I couldn't describe or even speak to the paramedics when they came. So it was very frustrating, very scary, and that was my first trip to the ER. After that, I developed severe chemical sensitivities. So the tiniest amount of a chemical would send me over the edge, just like mold. I would start twitching, I would have pain all over my body, and I would have extreme brain fog. I would lose my eyesight for hours at a time, which was very scary. EMF sensitivities made it difficult for me to use a cell phone. So we had a corded landline in our home. And when I used the computer, which I did to research, I would end up with severe chest pain, problems breathing, and more and more cognitive problems. So the food sensitivities became severe. I had to cook all of my food at home. I couldn't go out to eat, ever. And even though I was cooking and preparing all of my food, I was still reacting. I had IBS, bloating, gas, nerve pain again would come, and brain fog, fear of having these symptoms again. So I would stop eating more and more foods simply because of the reactions that I was getting. And the most severe symptom that I had from the foods were big blood blisters that I would get on my tongue. I ended up being on just a diet of soft foods and blended foods and soups. So soup was a mainstay for me. I would sometimes have soup all day long. This lasted for years. The illnesses were devastating to me and my relationships. My husband was the one to take my daughter out to restaurants and to fun outings. I lost most of my friends. I couldn't go to their homes. I would start to smell mold in their homes, and I could detect where, upon entering their home, exactly where the mold was. I would say, oh, it's over in the left-hand side of your home over there, or it's in your bathroom. And eventually, these people would call me back saying that they got a mold inspector And sure enough, they had to remove 8 feet of their walls, or they had to remove a kitchen sink or a bathroom sink or a bathtub. And so I started to think that I was developing this psychic gift. And that's where my brain went. I started thinking I had this talent and anything to make this all worth it. So for years, I continued to see this herbalist who helped me a lot, but the herbs ended up being just effective BandAids. They didn't take away the sensitivities. So I ended up seeing so many practitioners. I saw, of course, my internist. I saw dentists, oral surgeons for the blood blisters, dermatologists. I saw a cardiologist, a urologist, psychologists. I saw a psychologist for EMDR. Eventually, I went to see healers of all sorts. I felt ashamed. My husband became Superman. He had to do everything for me. I felt like I was losing my independence. I lost my independence. I depended on him, and I felt ashamed, weak, not myself. I found out about DNRS during my first appointment with a naturopath. I had made an appointment with her to help me with my gut issues because I believed at the time that healing my gut would help me with all of the symptoms that I was having. So during that first appointment, she had asked me so many questions, and she said, I'm not going to even give you one blood test. Everything that you have falls under one category. You have a limbic system dysfunction, a brain injury. And so I remember being very shocked. I didn't know what to think. And she just said, look, get online and Google Annie Hopper, DNRS. And so I did. And it made complete sense to me after hearing everything that Annie said, and after hearing all of the testimonials. I related to every story. So for the first time in a long time, I had hope. And I got a lot of support from my family. And my dad had told me that if you ever hear of any kind of healing modality for whatever it is that you have, I will support you. And so it was that with that help, I was able to attend the in-person program. So the in-person program was an amazing experience. I hadn't met many people like me before with the kind of conditions that I've had. So here I was in a room with all of these other people who had the same conditions. And it was as if we didn't even have to speak. We just understood each other. We were all canaries together. I knew that I had made progress because I was starting to feel more of an uplifting energy, and I was really starting to feel hope. But I didn't notice any progress in terms of chemicals that week because there really were no chemicals around. The venue was completely a safe environment for all of us. But I do remember on the last day when my husband came to pick me up, we went to a little store afterward to get water. And when we walked out, he looked at me with this horrific face and said, "Didn't you smell that?" And I said, "No." And he said that there were some kind of chemicals in the store, and I told him, just don't talk to me about that. I don't care. So it's been over 2.5 years since I took the program, and I did not recover in 6 months. It took me much longer. And what really helped me was charting my progress daily, and that charting of my progress is what really helped me to stay in the program. There are so many things that I could do now that I couldn't do before. I can go shopping at the mall with my daughter. I can go to concerts. I can hug people with perfume. I can exercise. I can eat sharp foods without any sores on my tongue. I can go into a bathroom and see spots of black and be completely fine. There's so many things that I can do now. I feel that I'm normal again, and I feel that I'm Karen again. So if you are suffering from a mysterious chronic illness that you can't figure out and your doctors can't figure out, it's time to do this program, because there is a way out of this hell that you are in.